Hello, this is Ron here at the Vapor Shop in Noonan, Georgia. It's located on 144 Temple Avenue. You can find us on Facebook at The Vapor Shop, and that's spelled with an E, V-A-P-E-R, or thevaporshop.com with an E. Google will try and correct you if you put an O. Alright, today we're going to do a Protank coil rebuild. It's a pretty common thing, but some of our customers have been asking, so here we go. Alright. Take your rubber grommet off the top, get some pliers, take that apart. It just wiggles out. Pull that pin off of the bottom there. Pull your insulator out of the bottom. Here's your used coil. Set that aside. There's your your cup. You got all your pieces here. Good to go. So you use about 1 3/4 of 2 millimeter wick and about 1 inch of 1 millimeter wick, which will cut in half to make 2 flavor wicks. Some people leave the flavor wicks out. You should put them in and then pull them out with tweezers if your juice doesn't wick well enough. Alright, we grab the Kanthal. We've got 32 gauge Kanthal. We're going to do about 4 inches of that. Get some tweezers. And I have a cigar lighter here. It's a butane lighter. We use that to clean off the wire, the Kanthal, of dust or finger oils. You just want to heat it up a bit. You can use any kind of butane torch. Alright. So, I take a piece of tape, put it around the top, and I'll show you why. So you have your piece of 2 millimeter wick, and you take a sewing push pin with a head. You feed it through the wick, through the center. Now you have a piece of silica wick that you can actually wrap Kanthal around and the wick won't move. That's why you put that pin in there. So here we go. I'm going to do 5 wraps. That's going to get us at about 1.7 resistance. If I wanted to be at about 2 ohms of resistance, I would do 6 wraps. You want the wraps to be close together but not touch. There's 5. Now I want to use my fingernails and separate those coils a little bit. Make sure they're uniform, not touching. Not too tight, but tight. It's not a big deal. After you do it many times, you get a feel for it. So we have something that looks like that. Now you take this, feed it into the cup, push that through the center. That sewing pin also keeps you from pulling it down too far. It rests right in the middle there. It's very good. So now we'll take the short end or either end, pull it to the side. We take this insulator and go over either one of the leads. And you want to slide that back into the cup on the bottom. Alright. Pull that to the side now. So you have one lead that comes out directly after the cup and one lead that comes out directly after the insulator. And you take your bottom pin, which connects to your 510 connections, and you put that into the insulator. Okay. Now I will take these pliers and I will pull the canthal down a bit just to make sure it's snug. Inside there, you don't want to pull it too tight, but you want it to not have any extra canthal in there. Alright. Now that coil in there, we want to adjust that around a little bit. So you take another one of your sewing needles with the head and redistribute the coils. Make sure they're not touching and not touching the sides of the cup. Let's move those around just a little bit. Not bad at all. So that we've adjusted our coil. Now I'm going to take these leads off. You can either roll them around like this until they break off, or you can clip them with fingernail clippers or wire cutters. Okay, so that's what we have now. Now I'm going to hold the wick and pull the sewing pin out. Make sure our coil stayed straight in there, and it did. So we're good there. I take this 1 millimeter silica wick and I'm just gonna snip it in half. Now we have 2 flavor wicks. I'll put one in there and then the other. And then I'll take my tweezers and make sure that they're sitting next to each other, not on top of each other. It won't be the end of the world if they're not next to each other. But they sit best like that. And you take the top, and it's just press fit. So you just push it back into there. Now you have that. The flavor wicks stick out of the top. It keeps your liquid from flooding into the coil. It wicks but doesn't flood. If it's too tight of a draw, or if you get dry hits, you can remove some of the flavor wick with tweezers. Even if it's wet, if you've already got juice in it, you just pull a few strands out and it wicks more easily. But I begin with everything, with both flavor wicks and the millimeter, and the 2 millimeter silica wick. So now we're going to clip the excess canthal off, or the excess silica off the sides. Okay. Now we're just going to pretty it up. So there you have your coil. I fluff the wicks out. Then I take the silicone grommet that fits over the post and I put it back on and push it all the way down. And there you have a completed Protank coil rebuild. So now I'll check the resistance. You get anything that reads resistance, your mod, whatever, and get the base to your tank, or a tank that this is going to screw in. We'll check the resistance. So here's an Ego threaded base that takes Protank coils. Since I did 5 wraps, this should be 1.7 or 1.8 ohms of resistance. 1.7. so there's no short in it. And there you go. If you wanted 1.8, 1.9, or 2.0 resistance, you would add a 6th wrap of Kanthal. In this video we used 32 gauge Kanthal, 2mm silica wick, and 1mm silica wick. Thanks for watching.